Hello, welcome to Tech Girls. My name is Lindy Cherise. In today's video, I'll be taking you through the beginner's guide to Excel. This is level 1. So when you go to your Excel, when you open your Excel, you'll see that you will see some other Excel documents. So if you are using some of these documents, you can just easily put that in a pin at the top. So for example, this party 2, if you want to see it at the top, you can just pin it at the top. And then when you move to more templates, you'll see more templates that Excel has already given to us. So you don't naturally need to go and create your calendars from scratch, or your budget templates, or even your formulas. But then to get started, we do need to go to home and select a blank worksheet so that you can learn how to operate Excel and also see some of these functions. And that right there at the top, you would see the tabs and the headings. So this is what we're actually going to click in order to see. And then when you open each heading, you will see at the bottom it shows more information. So that information is actually called a ribbon. So we usually use the home one, and then as you can see, there's different categories. When you click home, you would see that you would see your fonts, and you would see your alignment, and then you would see your conditional formatting, and then we are all going to use some of these. And then as you can see at the bottom, you see that you can't see everything, so you'll have to click that to expand so that you can see more. So when you click that, it opens a bigger picture where you can see more from that. So for example, if we were to click the alignment and also the rep text, you can see more. There's numbers, there's alignment, and even more information. So it's just there to compress and make sure that everything fits. So when you go to the workbook, so the entire format is called the workbook, and then when you click that D, you actually see a row and then also a column as well. And then where a row and a column meets, it's actually called a cell, and that is where you're going to input your data. And then when you click a cell at the top, you see that it's cell number F4, so you would know which position your cell is under. So you just need to know that when you select multiple cells, you now have a range. So a range is a combination of different cells. So sometimes you will need this. For example, if you're doing any calculations, you would just need to select the whole range and also to do whatever specific function you need to apply. So you now know the environment and the work area. So the whole thing is called the workbook. So from A up to Z, and also from number 1 up to the last number. So we can input data in the cells. For example, I've just entered hello, and then when you click the cell, you see that at the window at the top, you will see the word hello. And then you can also input the same data at that window in order to see. You can also do that. So there's two ways to input data, and you can do that in a cell and also in the window. And then when you look down, you'll see that you can zoom these cells. Say for example, you cannot see, or you want to make it smaller, you can zoom them. And then right at the bottom, you see that sheet 1, and you can add another sheet to make it sheet 2. You can add multiple sheets as well, and you can also right click and rename the sheets. So for example, I'm renaming sheet 3 into Lindy, and then you can also move this sheet as well, or just double click to enter a name as well. So there's two ways. You can right click and also double click, and then you can also move these sheets from one to another. Say for example, you want to move maybe data for your class, you can move to sheet 1, and then you can just play around and move these sheets. And then now let's look at zoom. The second way to zoom, you go to view, and then you can just click zoom, and then if you can see, you can select 200 in order to see more, or you can also do it at the bottom as well to zoom and see what information you want to see. So let's take it back to the proper zoom, which is actually 100%. And then now you can just play around there to see, and it will show you the number as well to see. So we're now going to enter some data. So first thing that we're going to do, we need to enter the heading. So in most reports, you do need a heading to give information on what this report is all about. So let's just say this heading is Tech Girls stock, and then can you see that I've entered this data in actually column A, row 1, and then now the data is not fixing it's actually not fitting in this column. But then we will fix the length and also all the data. For now, I'll just enter this data, and I do not want to waste your time, so I'll continue adding this data, and this is how the data looks now. And then to make sure that the data fits for the first row, you can just click the top line, and then you'll see it multiple times, and then you just enter it. And then now we're going to wrap the heading in order for the wrapping to fit this heading, and we don't want to see line, and then that's when you use match and center. And then if you want to make it bold, you go to home, and then where there's fonts, you will just select, and also the length. And then now text girls looks different. To add color, you will click that A, that's where color for text, and then the next one next to it with a bucket, it's actually color for the background as well. And then now we have order date, and then we do want our columns to be bold. Say the order date day, it's actually there and it doesn't fit. So in order for this to fit, you do have to go at the top between A and B, and then you just select, and then it will change that, and then you just direct the slider in order for order date to fit. So that's how you make the data to fit. And then let's now look at our header columns as well. You can just align the heading as well. You can move it to right, left, and you can move it to top, bottom. So that part of the ribbon is actually the alignment one, where you align your data according to what you want. So now we have this type of data, and we want to select everything. So I'm now selecting everything and inserting a row at the top. So you just right click the column where you want to enter data, and then we've just inserted the column, and now we're going to add borders. So when you add borders, you go to that drop down and add borders. So there's different types of borders. You can add borders on the left hand side or on the right hand side, or you can enter borders that will actually fit. So if you want to make a cell to be bold, you can just select bold, or if you want to make the whole heading to be bold, you can just select. And then now unit cost doesn't fit, we're going to drag the slider as well to make unit cost fit. And as you can see now, our headings are bold, and then I want to make the numbers to be underlined. But before doing that, let's just drag and remove the spaces. You just select in between, the row and column, and then you will see the line that will show, and then you can just move around everything. So if you want to select only the few columns that you are working with, you just click shift, and then you can move the arrows, and then you can just select. So now I've just entered the border, and then you just click everything up until total, because we don't want to make the whole cell to be bold, and then we can just click there. And as you can see, this one has added borders even between the columns. So that's how you do it. And then you can increase the size by going to font size, and then it will go to 16. Can you see now that our data is not fitting again? And then we'll use the slider to increase the size of these headings. And then unit as well is not fitting, and then unit cost is not fitting, and then unit total as well is not fitting. So now our data is fitting. So you just drag the slider in between A and B, or B and C, depending on what you want to add. And then you can just select everything. If you want to work with everything, you go to border, and then you just click there, and then you select the border that you want, and then you can select all borders. You can add color as well. So with color it's different. You can add colors one by one, which will take time. So for example, now I'm adding color there, I'm changing color there. But then what if the spreadsheet is something long, and then you cannot go around your whole spreadsheet and do this? So there's a better way where you select everything, and then you go to borders, and then you click all borders, and now the color is added in all my borders. And then this is also good. So now it is looking good. And the reason we add borders is because when you print, you cannot print these cells. So when you print, it won't show any lines. So that's why we add borders. But then I'll show you at the end when we're ready to print. So if you see anything that you do not like we already had other columns which you didn't like, and rows and columns, so you can just select everything and click delete. So now that our report is starting to look neater, we can do that. And then I'm now inserting a column, but if I select here, a column will be inserted above this row 9. So I don't want to do that, so I do it at row 10, and then it will insert another row at the top, and that's the row that's inserted. So unless if you want to insert a row in between 9 and 8, you can select 9 to enter it around 9. So we're now adding borders so that it is the same structure as well. So this is how you actually work with borders. So borders are there to just make your report looks nice and good for printing, because it won't show if you don't put borders when you print. So now that our data is exactly like this, we're now going to continue working on our last row. So I've just added borders again, just to show, and it must look neater, because the report that looks neat, it is a report that people will actually want to read. You can have good data, but if it's not neat, it won't look nice. So now let's underline our money column. So our unit cost and total, I just selected that U next to B and I. So B is bold, I is italics, and then U is underlined. So I've just underlined those 3 columns. So now this is how you underline. So let's go to currency. So you can change the currency or the numbers or even the alignment or even the decimal places by just right clicking and going to decimal places and making it 3. So let's see now that I've changed, and then I've also changed the currency to rand. You can change, you can move to Bitcoin, you can move to dollars, you can move to any currency that you want. So if you want to show that, you can show that. Like for this example, I just showed you now that there's Bitcoin as well that I've selected, but then I'm going to select dollars so that we stick to one format. And I want the decimal places to be actually, you can change to 3. Can you see now it's actually 4 decimal places, and then you can go back and change it to 2, because 2 it is actually acceptable. So you can change that as well, and then you just click that arrow which shows you which actually makes your ribbon bigger in order to get that, or you can just right click. And then now let's look at our first values. Can you see that when you multiply 95 times 199, it actually gives you 189. But then if you were to drag that in with Excel, when you drag something, the formula is supposed to apply even with the second ones. But can you see this one? It's actually dragging the same number and only adding 1 at the end. So we are now going to actually do the proper multiplication and addition using Excel. But then let's just add sequence so I can show you what I mean when I say you can actually drag numbers. You just start with 1, 2, 3, 4, but then what if you have 1,000? Are you going to type 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 1,000? No. So the best way is just to type the first number and the second number, and then at the bottom it will show that, and then you just drag to whatever number you want. Can you see that the auto increment is actually adding all the numbers? You can drag up to 1,000, so you don't need to type. That's another cool thing with Excel. You can do that without having to type each and every number. So that's what I was expecting with the total number, but then this total is actually working with a formula. So now I'm going to show you a function or formula which you can use. You can just type equal sign, and then you open your brackets, you select the cell you want to multiply, and then you multiply, and then select the second cell you want to multiply, and then now you get 189, which is a formula. When you click it at the top, you can see it's equals to F4 multiplied by G4. So now if I were to go and drag the same formula that I've applied there, I can drag it to all the other cells and the multiplication will automatically happen. And then let's just use a calculator so you can see that this number is actually correct. So we'll multiply 50 times 5.28 so that you can see this is what we are getting now. So 264, this is the answer. So Excel does that for you. You don't need to, that's the power of Excel. You can use this to actually do financial calculation, even engineering calculation. So that's the answer we got. So you just land your first function, which is actually your sum function. which you can use as well. So the number is correct, and then you can just continue. You can use your average. There's other functions, of which the second video that you're going to do, which is level 2, will show you all the functions that you need. So let's say you want to add total of all these numbers, and then we can use a function to do that. And then I just typed function, and then you can just type equals sign and drag all the range that you want to add, and then it will give you the total of these. But then can you see now it's not giving you the total because it's a range. So now you'll have to use a sum function and drag, because it can give you the total. So now this is the total that you're going to add. So now you can do the same thing. Let's say now we want to get an average of these numbers. We can also do an average of these numbers. So you just type as well. Every formula that you use, you can use a equal sign. So let's see if we're going to use the sum function. We're going. A nice thing with the sum function is it auto selects the columns for you, so you don't need to worry, and then you can apply it to all your columns. And then let's just make everything bold and underline to show. So can you see that the total value now that it doesn't fit? That's why you're seeing all these hash tags. So all you do, you drag the slider in order for this total to fit. So that's how you would do it as well. So say you want to get an average between total and the units, so you just divide, and then that's the average which you can get as well. So you select H4, and then the column you want to get the average, and then you can get the average of this column, and then you can also drag this to the bottom in order for you to get the average as well. And then let's just do more functions. And then say you want to get the maximum value between units, so you can just go to functions, and then you will select max, and select it auto-populated the range. So you can just select, if it selected the total, you can just edit, modify it, and then out of these units, which one was the highest. And then it looks like Jones had more units, and then you can do the minimum function as well. And do remember, I am going to go into detail within my next video or when it comes to functions. So I'll be doing a top 25 functions that you can use as well. So I'll leave this one for you to do, and then you can just go and select all the cells that you want to get the minimum, and then you can get the minimum out of this list. It's actually 27. And now let's go and populate date, and then you'd want this report to populate date every time a person opens. So you go to formulas, and then you go to date, and then you go and select now function. So the now function actually populates the date as in like the system date now. So as you can see, you can't see it, so just reduce the size because it's not fitting. So take it to 8 or 10, whatever shows. So now we have the date and the time, so for you to see what date this report is, when did you actually open the report. So now let's look at the printing. When you click page layout, you see that when you print this page, it actually breaks the page into two pieces. That's when you will need to select, and then when you page break preview would actually show you how it looks, and then normal will actually show you how it's going to be printed. Normal will actually show you now what you are seeing. Page break preview will show you how it will look, and then page layout will show you how you're going to print. So let's try printing so I can show you. For example, you have this word. Can you see there's no borders, there's nothing. But then if you were to go and add borders, and then you will see that when you print, it will show in your printing. So that's the reason that we add borders. Can you see now borders are showing? So that's why I say you need to add these borders to help you in order for you when you go to printing. And then say you want to add a chart, you can just go to charts there, and then select the chart that you want, and then it will show. And then when it shows, you can drag it to where you want. And there's different designs, there's pie, there's bar charts, and then you can also change the title of this chart, and then you can add more to your chart. And then when you select, you can select the type that you want by clicking add, and then it can show all the values that you need, and then you select what you want, and then that's how you add a chart. So this is something that you also need, but then I will record a separate video on charts going into detail. I'm just showing you what you can do as well to add charts. So there's more you can add, the type of data you want to show. So say for example you want to see which sales reps sold the most units, then you can just use this chart by adding the name of that rep and the units that they sold. So you can also do that. So charts are also a good way to make your presentation looks good, and also drill down to information that will make sense when a person reads. You can also add another type of data, which is the total and the percentage. There's actually more you can do with charts. So charts are also a good way for you to add more content. And then now let's move on to the next one. And the next one is, say you want to add a picture. You can add a picture and even the background as well. And then you can also go and analyze data. Say you want to analyze data, you can also do that. And you can also change the background color. And then let's look at the page layout so that you can add a picture. So this is the view. So at the moment this is the portrait, and also there's a landscape. So you choose the type of view you want to see for, but for a report like that you want to add the landscape view. And then let's add a background so that you can see how a background will be added. So you can just select from your computer and select any picture that you want. For example, I'll use this Telegram picture. I know it won't look nice, but then can you see that the background looks different, which will also help. So you just select the right photo and then use your background. So you can also add another photo, and I'll add this one, no Bitcoin feature. I love Bitcoin, so it's just a bad picture to use. But then for this example, I'll show you. So can you see now this picture is showing in a report? You can just align it and send it to where you want it to be placed, and without hiding any data, you can add a good picture that will go with your report as well. And then you can also add shapes. So shapes are for maybe you want to point something. Say for example we want to point we want to point the chart to the picture. You can just select and drag, and then it will show. So you can even change the height of this and the color of this picture, and now it's red. And then you can just select whatever pointer you want to use, and you can just select there's different shapes as well. You can just use whatever you want. There's so much you can do with Excel. And you can also add smart art. You can do a screenshot, and then to add a chart, you go to recommended charts, and then you can do maps as well. You can type comments. Say for example a report is not only for you, you can add a comment to say maybe this report was edited by Lindy on this day, and then you can do that. So now we're going to freeze pane. So say you have a whole lot of columns, and then you do want to see the sequence every time, and the report gets bigger. So when you move, the sequence column won't move because you use the freeze pane to freeze your reports. And also you can protect your sheet. Say you don't want, maybe your information is confidential, and then you can just hide that by adding a password. You just go to protect sheet and add a password, and then you can just give that password to the next person who's going to use the report. And then you can also remove this. And then the last one, say you get stuck and you need help, you can just go up and click help, and then you can just type whatever topic you want help with. Say for example now I type maybe formulas or sheet, it will type that, and then it will give you most asked questions on sheet, and then you can just type whatever you want, and it will guide you on how to actually do that. When I type formulas and click, it shows you formulas and function, and then you can just select what you want. So this is how you actually create your report. Thank you so much for watching, and please follow us on social media. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and like our videos, and also please do share with your friends. Thank you so much for watching.